Good morning. Good morning. And how are you all? Actually going to put that chat back in to the group. So sorry everyone, I just changed my screen a little bit so I could see the chat, but it's made the video very small. Good morning. How are you all? It is early morning. Well, it's not that early, but I think I've talked to you before about Michelle and I being not particularly morning people, and it's quite hard for us to get up in the morning. And we literally got up about 40 minutes ago, and I'm going to have a coffee in a minute and a quick chat with you all and a catch up. The title of yesterday's video, "Pull the Plaster Off," is because I've been procrastinating to get back on YouTube. Let me just explain to you what happened. The last live stream, I think we were in Chiang Mai, and Scott and Bo, his lovely wife, were there, and we were really enjoying Chiang Mai. It's actually a lovely city, and I wanted to get back to Australia because it's a big birthday for my mother, a special birthday. So I wanted to come back and surprise her. So we snuck back into Australia at the end of the year and got here in time for a big birthday bash. And after that, I just zoned out of YouTube altogether. I couldn't get into it. I had a bunch of videos to edit, which I still haven't edited. And yeah, I've just been off of YouTube altogether. I've not even been on looking at the comments much or watching YouTube even. So it's kind of been really hard. So yesterday was just about making that short video to force myself to do a live stream today, because I've missed a lot of you guys. I see a lot of regulars are in. I see who's in there, Michelle? I saw Anne, Carl, Faris. Let me just put my glasses on so I can see. Everybody's in. Gordon, Tony's in there. And as I said, Jan is in. Good morning. Anyway, so Michelle's over here. We haven't lost her. She's not still in Chiang Mai. So we're back home, and I'm just relaxing. I'm really not feeling the weather's beautiful here. It's not so hot and sweaty as it is in Chiang Mai. Some days it's a little cold because we're in Melbourne. A lot of you know we're from Melbourne, and Melbourne's a strange city. It goes hot. One day it'll be 37 degrees Celsius, whatever that is in old money, and then the next day it'll be 18 degrees and you're freezing and cold. So it's been a typical Melbourne couple of weeks that we've had here, and I've just struggled to get back into YouTube. I'm not able to do it just yet, so I thought I'd do a live stream and say, look, we're still here. We're still good, and say hello to you all and wish you all a happy new year. And of course, Anne, you were saying kung hei fat choi to everybody who celebrates the Chinese New Year. You were saying, Anne was asking whether the lion dances and things were kicking off here in Melbourne, Australia. They will be. There are certain suburbs, one of which we used to live in, actually, before we set off. If you remember the early stages of Steve's Kitchen, that was a very heavily mixed Chinese and European community there, and we always had lion dance. I used to love it at Chinese New Year time. So, but where we're staying at the moment, a family home here, we just come to visit some family. There's not a lot of signs of Chinese New Year's that I can see anyway at the moment. So
Maybe tomorrow in Federation Square, places like that.
Yeah, in the city centre there'll be a lot of stuff. Box Hill, Springvale. There's a lot of parts of Melbourne that have strong Chinese communities, and it's almost like being back in China or in Hong Kong for that matter. So kung hei fat choi to anybody who's watching. Hope you have a wonderful. What year is it, Anne? Is it the year of the insert favourite animal here? Michelle knows. She's probably told me twice this year already, but it's in this ear and out the other. Come and say hello, Michelle.
I was just going to say, Nina, the ambulance is in. Hi, Damon. Hi, everybody. I am here.
Damon's in. Good morning, Damon. Happy New Year. Kung hei fat choi to you, mate.
Yeah. And has anybody said what it is yet?
No, you can't say. Somebody in the chat can say. So let me get a coffee going because I'm absolutely parched.
Rabbit, but
It's a rabbit.
It's the bunny rabbit this year.
What is it? Yeah, rabbit. Chaz and Dave. Who's that? Byron, g'day. Look, excuse me, this is not good TV, is it? I'm over here making I just want to get a bit of a cappuccino going, so I'm just frothing up a little milk in a glass. No, I can hear you. I can hear you clearly. Yeah, because I've got the microphone on. She did. It was a really good surprise for her, Jan. We actually, she didn't know we were coming. Most of the family, pretty much all the family were here for her big birthday. There was a big event on, and Michelle and I rocked up, and it was quite a surprise for her. She was quite tearful because the whole family was there, which was really nice. And we kept it pretty much, we kept the whole thing secret. Even my family didn't know. Our children knew we were coming back. But we managed to keep it. We managed to keep it a real secret, so it was good. A great day.
Anne says she needs a coffee.
Okay, I'll make you one in a minute, Anne.
Who wants a coffee?
Michelle's got a hand up.
I've got one. Who knows that that's a huge kitchen?
Yeah, this would be a good one for film. Oh, I better not say because everyone will tell me I've got to do Steve's kitchen again. It's be a good kitchen for filming in. Actually, would need some studio lighting in it because it can be a little bit. Australian kitchens, we tend to keep our kitchens away from the windows. Quite often, the kitchens are inside the house, so you don't get a lot of light coming in because the hot weather it can make the kitchen quite warm. But it does mean it's often not so well lit for filming. Not that most people are really bothered.
So Carl says, "What's travel back into Oz easy now?"
Yeah, pretty much normal.
What we were saying, it was our fastest trip through Melbourne Airport ever.
Yeah, coming into Melbourne Airport's been notorious for being for me, one of the worst airports. It's probably because it's home, right? But it's one of the worst airports to arrive in because quite often the queue through customs can be like a loop to loop to loop, and you can be in 45 minutes or so just after you've picked up your bags getting through customs. But they've improved it greatly. I don't know what they've done, but it's immensely improved. And we were through in 20 seconds. I mean, it was literally scan your passport and through the gate. So yes, it was pretty straightforward.
So Damon says, "So you're in the same country as your quest now, then?"
I am, Damon, and I haven't had chance to pop around and pick up the quest. I will get on. I was actually lamenting to Michelle the other day. I said, "Oh, if I'd had my Quest, I could have got on and said hello to the boys." Quest, for those of you who don't know, is like a virtual reality headset that I was forced to buy by Damon and Rick, so we could keep in touch and play some games together. And it's a great headset, but I've had it for a year and a half, but I haven't actually had it for over a year because we've been traveling. So I was quite looking forward to getting it. It's probably out of date now, but maybe the batteries don't work. But yes, I am in the same country as the Quest, so you will be seeing me online in the nearest future. We've still got a few family members to visit and a few obligations to fill. So cheers, everybody. Good morning.
So Janae says, "My mum is 96 in November."
Well done, Jan, to your mum for being 96, and happy birthday to her. I hope she has a wonderful birthday in November. It's a little way off, obviously, but yeah, my mother's. I won't say her age because but it was a big birthday, and she's super fit and well, and she's still a great character. Her and I are very similar in character.
So Dwayne says hello.
Good day, Dwayne. How are you? What are we going to have for breakfast today, Michelle? Well, we don't have breakfast, but we'll be eating our breakfast about midday, maybe a little bit later. It is at the moment.
Gordon is asking, what time is it? It is 10:40.
10:40, Gordon, and we bought ourselves a little gadget. I'll just 1 minute. Let me I'll come back. Hold that thought. We bought ourselves a little gadget on arrival. Now, I say it's a gadget. I'll show you it in a second. It's to my side here, because we're trying to, because traveling has made us very unhealthy. We've really, the last 3 or 4 countries that we've been into, we've been eating very badly, and it's not because we've been eating very well, because the food has been fantastic. As Anne will attest, most of the food that we've been having in Malaysia, for example, is superb, but it's not conducive to me getting into shape. So we got back, and I said, well, we want to start the day with a meal that's a little more healthy. So we went and got one of these yogurt makers. Now, I think I've done a series on making yogurt. I'm pretty sure. Did I do a whole Steve's Kitchen series on making yogurt? So we went and bought what is a Easio yogurt maker. And the only reason we bought it is because when I went into the shops, it was super cheap. It was $12, reduced from about $25. They had a half price deal on. And I'll show you what the unit is like. So it's basically a giant flask with a little platform in the center, which you fill up with hot water from a kettle. So you just basically, because the way we make fresh yogurt, and I'm going to use the English pronunciation, so yogurt for my American friends. But the way we make fresh yogurt is we use a flask a bit similar to this. It's usually about this high, but it's a thermos flask, and it's a wide mouth flask. And we put fresh milk, warmed milk into the flask. And generally, we actually use powdered milk because powdered skim milk works better, or semi-skim milk works better than fresh milk. And then you put a tiny bit of yogurt culture in, and just pop the lid on, and you can because it's kept at the yogurt cultures are thermophilic, so that means they bloom under a warm environment. So that actually will set the yogurt in the thing. Anyway, so back to this thing. It's very similar. Just go to the fridge over here, and so
that gives me an idea for my wife's upcoming birthday. She likes the yogurt. They're cheaper to make than buy.
Oh, so much cheaper. But so it makes basically a kilo of yogurt. This goes inside the hot water. You pop that inside the hot water and just chuck the lid on it, and 8 hours later you've got a lovely thick set yogurt. I know I keep cropping out of the picture because I'm getting a little close to the camera, but excuse that. So you end up, and this one is an unsweetened plain yogurt that we bought also because these were $12. Now in US dollars, that's probably around about 50 cents or something. No, I'm kidding. The exchange rate is probably about $9 US for the whole caboose. And also the yogurts themselves, which are a powder, and I'll talk to you about that in a minute. They were all on half, so they were only about $2 for a kilo of yogurt, and you only have to mix it with water, tap water, plain old tap water. So this goes in for 8 hours, and then you end up with a lovely big kilo set of yogurt. And we will have this. Let me show you. Actually, I forgot we had this. So you end up with this lovely thick set yogurt, which is delicious. And this one's the unsweetened, so there's no sugar in here apart from the actual milk sugars. And we're going to be we've been having this every morning with fruit. We've been cheating a bit because we've been buying frozen fruit because we were starting, because the mango season's okay, but the mangoes aren't great, and we've just had such good mangoes in Thailand and Malaysia and Sri Lanka for that matter, that we were spoiled when we got the mangoes back here in Australia. They just weren't cutting the mustard for us. So we've been having a lot of blueberries, a lot of frozen blueberries and other frozen fruits. So it's delicious. So for about $2.20, I think, you're getting a kilo of fresh, delicious yogurt. Now, let me tell you, you can get it even cheaper than that. I'll explain why in just a second. So we bought, because they were only $2, we bought a whole load of these little pouches. And this one is Greek yogurt with Manuka honey. there's no Manuka honey in it really. I think there's a Manuka honey essence, but I love Manuka honey. So this was a Greek yogurt with Manuka honey. It's a little sachet. This one's a Greek style, and they have to say style because it's not Greek, because Greek yogurt has to be strained and a dense yogurt, so you would have to drain out most of the whey. So this one is with coconut, and this one's an unsweetened. So this is Greek style unsweetened. Now, so you just put water in this, you mix this powder in, and it is just a powder, and I'll tell you exactly what's in it in a second. Shake it up, top it up, pop it in there. 8 hours later, you have fail-safe yogurt, and it's by a company called Ezio. This is, sounds like a sponsor, doesn't it? It sounds like they're doing a QVC or whatever channel. It's not, and I'll tell you why it's not, because these are these are about $2.20 in Australia, I think, on special. Normally they're about $4.50, which actually is good value, but it isn't when you realise what's in this packet. This is just powdered milk with a little bit of flavouring in it. I mean, this is the same as the powdered milk you can buy in big sort of kilo bags in the supermarket. And to be honest, if you work out the exact weight that's in this, you could buy straightforward powdered milk and pop it in here, give it a mix through, a shake through, and as long as you take, excuse me, no, I'm speaking too quickly. I haven't been on camera for such a long time. As long as you take save a teaspoon of the previous yogurt, will still have its live culture in there. That will reset into a fresh yogurt. So all you need really is, rather than paying $4.50 for this, or wait till this is always, because they're always coming on special. In our supermarkets, there's a sort of round robin system, where this will be on special and it won't be on special again for maybe 6 weeks, 4 weeks, you know. And it'll come on. So when it comes on special, you can just buy them, in which case they're quite good value. But at $4.50, they're not, because you can get a big kilo of powdered milk for, you know, I don't know what it costs for a kilo, but you can buy a whole big bag of powdered milk. So yeah, but you won't get the flavors. The only thing I'd say is what we have found is these flavored ones, the Manuka honey one and the coconut one, while they are delicious, and the coconut one actually has whole chips of coconut in it, while they are delicious, they're too sweet. They're so full of sugar. So they're basically just like a big frozen ice cream, but they are delicious. So yeah.
The answers I agree about the mangoes, but I find Indian Sri Lankan mangoes the best.
Seasonally, they tend to be, yeah. I certainly, the Sri Lanka, the Sri Lankan mangoes are superb. The Indian ones are great, but Thai mangoes are really good as well. If you get them in season, the Thai mangoes are second to none. I'm talking about, I don't know the variety. They're a long, sort of like slightly S-shaped. If you get those in season, when they're fresh, they're some of my favourite. And we've got other questions coming in while I'm nattering on Michelle.
Actually, yeah, Carl agreed with you about it being an advert, but he said it's no shame in that.
It's not an advert, because I'm not actually, what I would, if you check out I'll get someone, or Michelle will pop the link to my yogurt. Did we do a yogurt making series? Okay, so it'll show you how to make it with just plain powdered milk and a wide mouth. So you could buy, actually, this kit was $12, but most people have to pay $25 for this kit. A good wide mouth flask, you can pick them up for sort of $5. So I'm not actually, I would say, if you can get this on special, it's not a bad little purchase. But in reality, check out my yogurt making series, and you can do an equally good job with a $5 wide mouth flask, maybe $8 wide mouth flask, and powdered milk.
Tony said, I'm not sure if it's cotton, I'd use it in a quilt long.
No, it's actually very quite heavy linen. It's from Sri Lanka, Tony, but it's linen. But it's about the heaviest linen. The reason I haven't worn it much on the journey, it's been too heavy for Asia. I mean, it's just, I can wear it now because the weather's a bit cooler here in Australia. But
We liked it, so we had to buy it.
I saw it. It's got, I think it's got Birds of Paradise or something on it, and it's a beautiful linen shirt. Very heavy though, very thick linen. So it hangs. We never iron stuff. Michelle's so lazy.
Oh yes.
Why am I saying you're lazy? As if you should. I'm so sexist, so sexist. But we never iron stuff. So
No, good shape.
good shape. Make sure
Use your
you dry it wet and hang it out. Don't leave it sort of creased in the washer or in the in a pile. And even with linen, you can. And the nice thing about this one is it's very heavy, so it actually hangs out. So I'm saying it's very heavy and it looks really good and pressed. And you're probably all looking at it thinking it looks like a rag, but.
So going back to the yogurt maker, Carl said I'll check out Amazon. Maybe very limited on my island because he's on Jersey.
Yes, Carl. Check out the yogurt series. You could probably do. You might be better because you're on Jersey, because you won't be able to constantly get the packets of yogurt flavoring. You'd be better off to get on Amazon to get a wide mouth. Look at my series. You'll see the wide mouth flask. Sounds like a wide mouth frog, doesn't it? But or does it? Is that just me? But you can get one of those, and it's the same sort of thing. It's more robust even. It's better, probably better made in many ways. Good flask, and it doesn't have to be wide mouth. It's just easier for scooping the yogurt out. It can be in a narrow mouth, but then you've got to get in and try and get. It's about keeping the milk at a constant temperature.
Well, Hank says you can also use fresh milk to ferment into yogurt.
You can use fresh milk. You can use skim milk, semi-skim milk. They'll all make their varieties of yogurt. Generally, when they talk about fat-free yogurts, they're using fat-free milks, which or very low fat content milks. And actually, there's something that we discovered over many years of making yogurt, that the low-fat skimmed milk powder, and I never ever purchase, buy, or go near skim milk of any sort or semi-skim milk. I don't like it. But these low-fat skim milk seems to set better for firmer yogurts. But I've got a series there. I'll show you how to make proper Greek-style yogurts. There's all sorts of fruit yogurts and delicious things you can make if you check out the series. So a little plug for Steve's Kitchen Yogurt series.
Love says we had snow here in Northumberland, bloody cold nights, -5.
-5. I've heard about the weather back in the UK and Europe generally. Lovely, beautiful cold. I like those cold weathers because spring's coming and it's going to break you. But you're hitting. In Europe now, you're hitting the real winter. I mean, January, February time is when the real winter starts. A lot of people tend to think it's December time, but that's really early winter. So it's January, February where it really tends to bite, and then you'll see sort of maybe March, April time when the spring comes. What am I telling people? stuff that everybody knows.
Tony says your plantain yogurt is one of the best. Used it since, and my friends' children love it better than store-bought. We add honey and banana. I recommend it to all. Yes, yeah. Yogurt making at home is just almost too easy. And I remember, go on. And Dwayne says yogurt cheese is also good. Strange yogurt, the non-gelatin kind. So it's cucumbers, garlic, mint, yogurt mixed together. Yes, that's almost a raita. But it's I think we've got a. I don't know if we made it on the channel at some time, but making a cheese, like a cream cheese from yogurt, which you can do as long as that works better with a full fat yogurt rather than a low fat yogurt. So you get this beautiful. You can actually strain if you take yogurt and put it into a muslin cloth and just hang it up, above a bowl or something, and just let all the whey come out. So you're getting a Greek yogurt, but you take it even further. You reduce even to a thicker state, and then you can mix that through. Who just said that? Dwayne. As Dwayne was saying, you can actually use that like a cream cheese. You can add chives. Yeah, a little bit of salt in with it just to sort of lift the flavors, and then you can add chives and all sorts of flavors in, herbs and things in, and you end up with this almost like but a much nicer. I mean, if you go and buy Philadelphia cream cheese with flavors in now, they tend to taste like sort of pants to me. They never taste as good as what the picture is. If you get a Philadelphia garlic and cream cheese or something like that,
they never taste good. You make that at home from a yogurt base, and you will say, oh, because you can add your own salt levels in there. You don't have to add all the chemicals and thickeners, the thickening agents they use in Philadelphia. So you end up with a much better cream cheese experience than you'll ever get from a big brand.
Like I said, I've done it that with Balkan type yogurt. It's very good when you mix in the herbs, lemon zest, and other things.
Lemon zests and even some, you can either toast off some spices and put spices in there. You can put sort of cumin seeds. If you just toast them a little bit, maybe break them, don't have to crush them, but break them down, put them in. You can add a little bit of cayenne pepper, paprika smoked. You can, there's so many things. You can put a little bit of garlic in there. You have to be careful with garlic because it'll come and overwhelm a cheese. It's really probably better to lightly cook the garlic and put it in, but there's all sorts of things you can do, and they make fantastic dips as well. So I think I might have even done a dip series at one time. If I haven't, it's because but it's something we make a lot. So they make really nice dips as well. If you get it to the right, not the right consistency, you can blend them with mayonnaise, or you can actually just add a little bit of vinegars and things just to break down the yogurt and make some delicious dips. So yeah, easy peasy.
So Han says, where are you heading after a bit of rest and recreation in Melbourne?
Well, we've got a few, we're visiting a few family members at the moment, and then we're planning what the next big trip is going to be all about. Michelle is, by the way, just over there. Shall I turn that slightly? Is that a good? So you can see Michelle. She is in the background. So yes, is that a good angle, Michelle? Just let me know if that's a good angle, whether that works well.
Let me see if I can wait now. Sorry, I'm busy trying to find the dips. I found them. So
some of you will know that we've been talking a little bit about whether or not we want to do something similar to the John O'Groats Land's End project. And we've been talking about this for months now, for several months, because I think mainly because we were finding the traveling and but traveling in the old, hotel to hotel to hotel, and then just having all these sort of delicious foods all around sort of Southeast Asia and Sri Lanka, and we were going to go back into India at one stage, but there was still problems with the visas. But yeah, that's left us feeling very unhealthy. I mean, just we're not getting enough exercise. And at the end of the joggle, I don't know if Gordon's still in. If you are, Gordon, thank you for all your support during the joggle. It was great having you feeling like a lot of you felt like you were with us through that joggle. John O'Groats to Land's End. At the end, we felt very healthy, very fit, very present. So, and then we went traveling again. A lot of you know we went for 6 months because we couldn't come back to Australia. We were still locked out of our own country. So we went to Mexico and ate fantastic, but ever such heavy food, and we've been traveling pretty much since, and we've gone from that big walk to feeling out of shape and a little less healthier than what we should. So we need a big challenge. So this year it's all about planning another big challenge. It's possibly going to be a cycling event, because Michelle and I both love cycling. We haven't done it for many years. So it's possibly going to be a cycling event, and it's probably going to be pretty epic and pretty out there, pretty mad, I imagine. So that's the plan, but that probably won't happen for a few months. We're going to have at least a couple of months here with family, just catching up with everybody and planning that next trip. So that is also, because it brings me back to taking the plaster off. Really, we were really struggling to I always find it hard when I'm back in the hometown to really get enthusiastic. It's like I said to Michelle the other day, let's go out into Melbourne and film Melbourne. And I know a lot of you are going to say, yeah, please do it. But it's hard to explain. It's too familiar. So it kind of doesn't really set our thoughts alight. So it's going to be hard to create content over the next month, 2-3 months, while we're planning this. So we'll have to try. We'll have to try.
So Pablo's in. He's saying hi.
Pablo. Which Pablo is that?
Pablo Diaz.
Okay. Pablo from Buenos Dias.
Yeah.
Buenos Dias.
Sorry?
From Los Angeles.
Yeah.
Oh, hello, Pablo. G'day, mate. How are you? Long time no chat. Pablo's got a great channel. You should check him out. He's into his photography at the moment. He's done some fantastic work. I'm really quite impressed, Pablo, with what you've been doing, mate. He's come from being daily vlogging to an advisor on photography, and he's done very well. Lovely guy, lovely family. I hope I've got the right Pablo.
You have, because he said yes, it's me.
I can't see Pablo. The text was tiny, so yeah, do check him out. If you're into your photography, and he's just a lovely guy all round.
So Good Love says thanks for the comment on the JOGLE guys.
No, I mean it was just there's loads. I mean, Anne, Jan, everybody that's in. Sorry, Carl, I can't see all the names there. But if you follow the JOGLE, say, give me a thumbs up on, or if you can't work out how to do a thumbs up, just put a yes. So, and if you follow the JOGLE, all those people, you know what it was like. It was a difficult. Thank you, Dwayne. Yeah, just hit the thumbs up and also hit the thumbs up, but send a thumbs up and a yes if you follow the JOGLE. So it was it was one of the most interesting times of recent years, wasn't it, for us? I mean, we did enjoy it. It was great. And at the end, if you remember, we arrived at John O'Groats. No, at Land's End. Sorry, we went the other way around, and nobody was there because it was lockdown. They even stole the sign. They've all taken their sign down from the end. So we arrived after doing 3 months of hiking and wild camping across United Kingdom. We arrived at Land's End, and it was all shut. And they'd even taken the sign down, so we couldn't take a photograph of ourselves at the "We've arrived" sort of, which was quite hilarious, really. But no, yeah, that was interesting. There were a few people around because there was that lovely couple we met who offered us a coffee in the closed down cafe that was there. So that was quite sweet.
So Pam said when you were talking about what we might be doing, he said yes, Africa and South America beckon. And then is it Tour de France? Maybe you want to talk about.
Well, yeah, we've been invited to do the Tour de France because I'm quite renowned for cycling. Michelle's particularly a head down and sort of like sprint finisher. So yes, we've been invited obviously to do the Tour de France, but we're not sure if we've time and whether or not our folding bicycles will meet regulations. Yeah, and I believe at the moment, I'm not sure, but on Tour de France now, if you enter, which of course we would probably be, allowed in by default. I'm not sure if you're allowed to camp. You're allowed to camp on the Tour de France?
Sure.
I haven't seen a lot of them with tents on the back of the bike, but if they could have,
finish the section in one day.
Yeah. So yeah, we've thought about Tour de France, but I'd have to check out on regulations whether we can camp and that, because Michelle and we're not likely. I know they'd probably want us to stay in 5-star hotels all the way through each section, but Michelle and I, we like a simpler life, camping and crapping in the woods and cooking on a stove.
So,
sorry about that.
Maybe do the overland trek in Tassie.
We've talked about Tasmania. We wanted to do Tasmania for a long time, so that's there's some ideas. We won't broach that subject we won't investigate it with you in too many levels because we're really not sure. There's a plan, but.
Auntie Leanna says, "Hello guys. What about cycling training at the same time filming that familiar area with a nice weekend ahead?" That was like when you were talking about going to see Melbourne.
Yeah, I mean, the thing at the moment is we haven't got bikes that are suitable. We haven't got bikes we have bikes. I mean, I have a mountain bike. I used to mountain bike a lot. I have a really nice mountain bike. But we're looking to do more sort of touring. Michelle's actually got a nice touring bike, but it's a trek bike, nice bike, and but it needs some maintenance. So it needs quite a bit of. It's still in very good condition, but it needs everything sort of like lubricating and new. It hasn't been used for over 10 years, so it will need a full maintenance. And I haven't really got a bike that I could tour with, so we've got to work that out.
Tony says, my sister-in-law and hubby some years cycled from Salt Hill to Sydney, across Europe and down, and made it a week before Christmas that year. Had some adventures, but a great time.
From Salt Hill?
From Salt Hill to Sydney.
I don't know where Salt Hill is, Anne.
Tony.
Oh, Tony. Tony, I don't know where Salt Hill is. No, that's
Salt Hill is in Galway Bay.
Oh, really? Some Salt Hill. So from Europe all the way across. Wow, that would have taken a long time. You know, we met that couple, Chris and Peter, who lived up in near Adrian's Wall, and they actually cycled from Adrian's Wall to the Great Wall of China, and it took them. How long did it take them?
Well, 18 months. Wasn't it?
18 months. So that would have been such an epic journey, and actually, it is something we've talked about. So we probably won't go from Salt Hill if we did it, although you never know. But yes, no, we have talked about. I mean, we want to do things that are, you know, once in a lifetime opportunities to do things that are kind of cool, and cycling that sort of journey would be. The only thing is, if you imagine when they did it, if they went from Salt Hill to Sydney, how difficult that would be to document in a video series and to create, you know, with the budget that we have, just a camera and a laptop and things. I mean, it's nice if the BBC are following you and you're sort of making a whole series about this crazy couple cycling halfway around the world. But it would be hard for us. So we would either have to do it completely selfishly for ourselves and not bother documenting it at all, which wouldn't be fun for you guys, or we'd have to try and document it, which can be a lot of work, and it can either maybe take the luster off it, or maybe make it just, you know, because if you cycled that distance, you are talking over a year of at least of cycling, and that would be epic. So
Jan says a bicycle built for two. So
no. I've seen, so we talked about taking a tandem around, you know, cycling on a tandem, but you know, everybody who I've ever heard done long distance tandem riding has regretted it. It's just a nightmare. If you want to just, you know, one of you wants to go off and have a look at that, or, you know, or you say, oh, you just pop over there and get something from the shop, so I'm going to go down. There's nothing. You're stuck on this damn thing, and it's nice for maybe a couple of days cycling, but for weeks and weeks and weeks, it just is not. And I know a few people that have done really epic tandem cycling projects, and I've spoken to them subsequently, and they would never do it again. They just really kind of regretted the mad idea. Michelle and I are not ready to do something we already know we're going to regret. So no, tandem's not going to happen.
Hank said the editing would be the burden.
The editing would be the burden. The constant needing to be in front of the camera would possibly. That's not a burden, because I like being in front of the camera. Michelle will get used to it, and but yeah, the needing to edit that, and the live streams and this, it would, and that sort of, and how do you do it? But we'll see. We'll do something that's smaller and see how it works.
Tony says they did it with two friends, and they checked into the radio in Galway. It was before boarding day, so obviously had the radio behind them.
Yeah, and you could get. I don't know if they were younger, Tony, whether they were younger than Michelle and I are. So
she said she need a big padded spike seat.
Yes, a lot of people use the Brooks leather saddles that made in the UK, so which are. You've got to break them in and get them into shape, because they're actually a leather. The older ones used to have springs under the seats. Now I think they don't often have that, but so it also gets expensive, because if you want to, you've got to find a balance. If you're going to do a big cycling project, you want to find a bike that's strong enough to do the whole project and reliable enough to keep you on the road. But I know from experience, if you buy a bike that's too expensive, too fancy, then you're always in fear of losing it. You know, for you, what you, I remember many years ago, I had a very expensive bike, still have it actually, but you never wanted to park it outside a sort of newsagent's, pop in and get some sort of drinks or something, because if somebody steals it, it's like that, you know, they can just pick it up and run off with it. You've lost thousands of dollars worth of a vehicle. So there's a balance between taking something that's too precious that you're frightened to have it stolen, and then replacing it costs many thousands of dollars, and something that's reliable. So you can't go right down the cheap end where you're going to be changing chains and pedals and things are going to be dropping off, and you don't really want to go up on the very high end. A lot of people, if you watch a lot of YouTube videos, which we have done, you'll see a lot of these YouTubers have become so disingenuous. It's madness, you know. Oh, I got these new glasses from Glassmaker. They're great. They don't bend. They flex. They sort of thing. You know, Sorry, that's probably not a good example. This yogurt maker makes the best yogurt. This actually reverse aging. It reverses aging. 2 teaspoons of this, and you'll be like a child in a cot. Yeah, it's really hard to find YouTubers now that are genuinely talking about products without some sort of second agenda. They're trying to get sponsorship, or they've been given something, so they've got to be a bit. So a lot of the big cycling channels are banging on about bikes, and they're saying, "Oh, you got to get the Surly Super Sloop," and you look online and say, "Well, that's a $4,000 bike," and then they say, and then you buy these shoes and this light bulb, and by the time you've got it, it's sort of $8,000 rig, and you think, I don't want to cycle around the world on 2 $8,000 rigs, $16,000, and find one day you're in a tent in sort of Namibia and somebody nicks your bloody bike and you've lost everything. You can't do that. You've got to be realistic, and anybody that tells me, "Oh, it's nothing," that's not, it doesn't matter. Even if you had very deep pockets, you don't want to lose an $8,000 rig. And people say you can't spend $8,000. Yes, they do. You can buy touring bikes that cost several $1,000s, and then you've got to buy the panniers, the bags, the tent. Even buying a good tent for traveling, because the John O'Groats tent now probably wouldn't do another big tour. It's another $1,000 just for a decent tent, so it gets expensive.
Petri says, hello, just got off.
Petri.
To see you guys. And then getting back to the tandem, Hank says transportation on airline is also a problem, maybe trikes. And Carl said it's the same as a 2-person sea kayak, a divorce maker.
Yeah, well, that's a very good example, actually. 2-person kayaks, because we used to live up in Queensland for quite some years, up in the Sunshine Coast. Beautiful part of the world, by the way. And kayaking, sea kayaking, was a very popular activity for people. And Michelle and I at one time did talk about getting a 2-man kayak, but again, it was the same concept as a tandem. Yeah, you kind of like, you're at the front, kayaking across the thing, and you look back, and Michelle's sat there sort of like, reading a book or something. It can become. They say it can become. What did he call it? Divorce maker. Yeah. I don't think it would quite get that bad, but it could become an argumentative sort of thing.
Pablo says, how about riding from national park to national park across the states or down the west coast?
I would love to cycle in the US. That's something that won't be happening anytime soon, I don't think, because there's so many places we've talked about doing. But yeah, I would love to do cycling. I'd probably go coast to coast, Pablo. I'd probably pick somewhere like, I don't know. I mean, the obvious place would be sort of somewhere in California, maybe Los Angeles. I probably wouldn't want to start in Los Angeles. Maybe in the north of Los Angeles, and then cycle across the northern states in the late spring, early summer, all the way through to maybe. That would be cool. But you know, you think about this. You often think it's like we talked about cycling across France, but we've driven across France many times, and the whole centre of France is divided by the Central Massif, which is like a so France is like this. It sort of goes like this, and it goes. It goes. Like, there's this huge, great big mountain range in the centre, and you've got to get over it, right? So you have to cycle. So you also have to decide if I was doing coastal, actually. Pablo's probably right. Coastal maybe the west.
Tony saying Route 66.
Route 66 could be cool. I don't know. We've driven along Route 66 several times, although many parts of it now have been it's been broken up, so you can get on it and get off of it. It's interesting. I think they're rejoining a lot of the old Route 66. I have to say, Pablo, I put. Did Pablo say West Coast?
Yeah.
I think the East Coast is more interesting. It's just divided. It's got a lot more to see on the East Coast. You know, West Coast.
West Coast is nice to drive.
It's beautiful to drive, but there's a lot of nothing on the West Coast. And on the East Coast, you've got city after city after city after city. So you can go, you know, Savannah. You can do Myrtle Beach. You can go to all the different little spots on the East Coast, and you can see, there are so many different states and cities and things that you can see on the East Coast. Whereas on the West Coast, you kind of start up. If you were to start up north, it's a little bit like Australia. You know, if you drive up, if you drive from here to or to cycle, if you were to cycle from here to Brisbane, there's not a lot in between. You know, there's the Albury, Wodonga, and Sydney, and you know, you'd be months sometimes with seeing absolutely nothing. So I don't know.
Even less on the West Coast.
But I love the idea of cycling in the US. That would be kind of cool.
So Noah Hunt said, I love Route 1 out of San Francisco.
Route 1 is that with the giant redwoods? I think it is. That's we've driven that 2 or 3 times. I think that's if that's Route 1. I'm terrible with remembering stuff. I remember things when I'm there, but it's in.
Yes.
Yeah, I think Route 1 is down for the giant redwoods, and I think I don't know if it goes up as far as Seattle, but I think it does.
Hank says the Great United Range in Australia.
Oh, yeah, I mean, cycling in Australia. I've seen several people that have cycled big cycling events, but they can quite often end up sort of gnarly and leathered because you're out in the sun. There's very little. You know, there's whole stretches where you can do days upon days of cycling.
Cyclists when we were doing coming down from Catherine down the centre, and there's nothing, is there?
No, you can do some great sort of 1, 2, 3 day treks and things in Australia, but to do the big cycles, a little bit like the west coast of the US. Actually, no, much worse in many ways, because if you were to do any of the big distances between cities, there's very little there. What's that big comment?
David says, been great catching up with you both. I've got to get some sleep. It's a big day for Star tomorrow. She's going to her new home. Have a great stream. See you in VR soon.
Take care, Damon. Thanks for dropping in. And it is getting late. I think it's after midnight there. So sleep well. If you are in the UK, drop off. Go and get yourself some sleep. If it's getting too late or it's too early or whatever, I'm going to go a little bit longer because we've still got topics to talk about. I'm surprised, actually.
Pablo says,
oh, Damon, just very quickly before you tell me Pablo's. Damon, we've been. I don't know if you've come across this. I haven't opened it yet. You can get off the bed, mate. You may have already gone. This is monk fruit. We've been looking at sweeteners. We're trying to cut down on our carbohydrates. So I've gone and got this monk fruit sweetener. It looks like sugar, sounds like sugar, but apparently it has almost 0 carbs, I think, in it. So it looks, for all intents and purposes, like just plain sugar. So we've got this to experiment with, and we've also got some monk fruit maple syrup, which you can buy on the link down below at QVC. So yes, add a little bit, add it to your tea, to your coffee, to your, just drink it straight from the bottle. I don't know. I don't know where you buy it from, but it does sound like, I do feel like. So we've got some of this monk, which is maple syrup flavored. There's no way it can be maple syrup because, of course, maple syrup should be pure maple resin or sap.
The Pablo says, I started using concentrated monk fruit a few months ago. So good.
Yeah, well, we used to see the monk fruits in Asia when we were there, and I never realized they were using it to make all these sweet sugared products. So we're going to give those a try. I'll let you know maybe in upcoming if one of you reminds me. We also, when you get back into, back into a place like Australia, and you haven't been there for a little while, you run into the shops and start looking at everything. Oh, this is interesting. This is new. I got this almond barista. There's a lot of these barista milks which are made for, so we thought we'd try an alternative for coffee making. This is an almond milk, but it's a barista specially designed for extra foaming, perfect for foaming. Anyway, tastes like pants. It's absolutely rubbish. It's got, I did try this, didn't like it at all. It does just taste like almond milk, which is fine, but to me, it's not great coffee. But if you've got any lactose intolerance, there are lots of these new barista. Is that in Mirror? I think it is. Sorry about that. Is it? So there are a lot of these barista brands and they've got almond milk, oat milks. No, I'm not a big fan. All done for these things. We also bought. What was the other thing we bought that was on?
When you're thinking, Pablo said, I'm on top of a small mountain, I have to head down before it gets dark. It's great hearing and seeing you, both of you. Until next time. See you.
Take care, Pablo. And there was other comment you were reading as well, but I rudely interrupted, I think, Michelle. Was that Pablo?
So. Pablo says, start in the Pacific Northwest and you can spend weeks and months in Washington and Oregon. So many beautiful waterfalls and rock formations on the coast.
Yeah, we've got lots of ideas. Keep putting them down there. I'm going to read all these comments later on, go through them and see if you've got any suggestions.
Carl said there's always the safety issue. We call the near misses while walking in the JOGLE.
Yes, I know. And we spoke with our friends, albeit briefly, Peter and Chris, when they cycled all those thousands of miles to China. But they're less problematic perhaps than they need be, although there are some stretches where you are on roads for long times. But what are you going to do with life? I can sit and watch TV and do nothing.
And then he says, make sure you protect your booties, cycling and hard on the buns.
Yeah, I think you firm up pretty quickly, and that becomes less of a problem in time. Now, quickly, while I'm covering the super healthy sugars, we also saw on special offer, because it's end of Christmas when we got here, they were selling these Daryl Lee Christmas pudding chocolates. And I grabbed one, and I have to say, it's pretty disgusting. It's just so sweet and sugary. So we're trying to cut back on that sort of stuff. But when you arrive in Australia and they're clearing out all the Christmas stuff because it's, Christmas is gone, and you go into a supermarket and you're seeing all these big packets of, chocolates and things being cleared, and it's very difficult. So I did buy one of those Daryl Lee's, and I would suggest that you don't bother. It says,
I unfortunately don't like the taste of alternative sugars, even if it's all natural. I'm not sure why.
Yeah, I can fully equate to that. I'm very sensitive to sweeteners that are not natural sugar. I can pick out almost every weird sweetener that they add into anything, and I find it all tastes a bit chemically. But I don't know. I haven't tried it. I'm not going to open it just now. We'll find some practical use. It's quite expensive. I mean, you're getting half a kilo. That's about £1 of sugar. I think it was several dollars. So not that cheap. Not as sugar would be.
So Carl said, namaste, bye-bye for now.
Take care, Carl. Good night. Cheers. Sorry this is not the best time for Michelle and I. We're not morning people, but I thought it kind of hit Australia and a lot of Europe and America at the same time. So we're hopefully managed to get people, though it's not the most convenient time for everybody, but hopefully we get a few extra people able to join us. Was there anything else, Michelle? No, any other questions people want to?
Bruce said monk fruit is not that great for your health. I've been on keto for a year now. The best sweeteners are organic stevia powder or the liquid form. sold at Trader Joe's. Use heavy organic whipping cream for your coffee, carb-free, and it's good for you.
Yeah, we're thinking of doing a little bit of, we won't go fully keto. We're not probably going to have the opportunity because we're always on the move. But we're trying to introduce a lot more proteins into our diet and get rid of a lot of, because we've been eating in Asia, we've been eating a lot of carbohydrates, and I put on probably 8 kilos that I shouldn't be carrying. So I've got to get rid of that. I can be lazy and just leave it there until we do a big cycling event and just, you know, get fit on the road. But probably what I'd like to do is eat a little healthier while we're, you know, in a slightly stable environment in Australia, and we can cut down on the breads. We've always found in the past, if we cut bread, and even when we had our farm in France, the healthiest we ever were when we cut bread out of our diet, which is really hard to do in France, by the way, because the bread is for magnifique. So
Hank said Dietary used to be such a good brand, and sadly it fell shadow of what it used to be.
I'm super disappointed with the Dietary. I mean, that was meant to be a Christmas pudding. I'm not going to have a little bite because I actually really don't like it at all. I would have expected some Christmas spices and some flavors. You know, Christmas pudding, it should have had some fruitiness and a bit of, and it's just a great big block of sugar, like spun sugar, with no flavors in it at all. So it's embarrassing because they were. Look, I didn't buy it because I thought, oh, I'd like to try it. They're about $10 to buy, I think, and they were just clearing them out for a couple of bucks. So I sort of grabbed one and thought, oh, I'll give that a try. And no, it's too sweet for me. It's not got the flavors that I would like. So.
And Noah said, I only drove it as far as, this is the Route 1, I think. I only drove it as far as Santa Cruz, but I did the Coast Starlight train from LA to San Francisco, and it was stunning. Saw loads of dolphins jumping in the water to the lounge carriage of the train.
What are you doing there? Lounge carriage of the train. We drove down onto the beachfront and saw all the walruses. Yeah, walruses. They weren't walruses. They were seals. Yes. They were like sea lions on the waterfront. I can't remember the stretch. I could look it up because we always take notes of places. But yeah, so it's on the lounge side of the train that they. What are you like? What were the dolphins doing? And maybe they were on a sponsored route.
Tony says, we've gone vegan and never felt better, dumped excess weight and helped with Parkinson's.
Oh, Tony's gone vegan.
Yeah.
I didn't know that. You didn't say that to me before, Tony. I'm never going to go fully vegan, Tony, because I'm not keen on the politics that come with vegan. But I think it's always good to consider. I mean, there is a lot. I empathise with a lot of the vegan ideas, and I think Michelle and I are talking about cutting back not only on our carbohydrates but a lot less meats in our diet anyway. So yeah, no, I can see how that could help you.
Hank said, yes, vegetables and fruits are very sustainable food.
But I could never cut out. I just couldn't cut out the cheeses and you know, cheese and eggs and things. It just would not work for me. But good. That's good to hear. So it's really helped with what did Anne say? Weight, Parkinson's, and something else.
Weight and Parkinson's.
Wow. Tony. I'm always getting Anne and Tony muddled up. I think because Anne was my first comment this morning. She's sort of in, and Tony was super early in. That is really interesting to hear, actually. I think, okay.
So Anne says, yes, likewise,
ramble coming.
Is the other extreme, maybe an occasional vegetarian. And Tony says about a year, she's been vegan about a year, but I agree with you about the politics.
Yes, there's a little bit too much bit too much born again going on in the vegan world, a little bit too much sort of dictating going on, and a lot of angriness, which and not everybody, but most of the vegans I've met, generally it becomes a little. There's a saying, isn't there? How do you know if somebody's vegan? They'll tell you. And that troubles me. And when I've ever sort of dipped my toe in vegan recipes and things, I get a lot of vitriol in the comments. So that always troubled me. But the concept of, you know, eating pure like that is actually a great thing. And what I think happens is because we tend to overeat, our bodies are always digesting food. There's never, we're living in an age now where there's plentiful sugars and foods and things. So our bodies, our internal organs are constantly fighting to digest food that they don't have time to repair. Repair your skin, repair your internal organs. And I always find that people, when you start eating healthily, when you start taking in less food than your body, or at least equal to or less food, it has time to fix things. You'll find your eyesight gets better, your breathing gets better. Quite often your skin, if people have a lot of eczema and things like that, it often completely heals up, because the body suddenly says, oh crap, we don't have to just constantly sort of work, put all our effort in trying to digest foods that we shouldn't be eating in the first place. And it has time to then send some of the white blood cells and some of the energy into healing things. So people often do. They get better smell, they get better skin complexion, their eyesight gets better. So yes, absolutely, Tony. There's a lot to be said for. And it isn't just veganism. It can, but I think even just, you know, cutting back and doing the 80% or alternate day fasting and things like that is the reason why people feel so good, is because the body has time to heal. And I always remember we talked about this a couple of years ago with my mother. Her dog wasn't. He tends to overeat a little bit. Sorry, Mum. Talking about Monty. And when we got him on a very strict regime of eating healthily, and his weight started to come down, as soon as his weight, lots of things like his eyes started getting better, his joints, everything about him started getting better. And so he was a more sprightly. He's an older dog now, but he's a more sprightly dog because he's more caught. So even with pets and animals, you'll find they have time to take care of their teeth, eyes, smell, skin, blah blah blah. Sorry. Next.
Next. Cheese, eggs are all good for you. Eat all you want. And Hannah says also the occasional crispy pork meal.
It's all too good. This is the problem, Tony. We were in Asia, being confronted. I mean, you struggle. You can go vegan in Chiang Mai, but not easily.
Tony says, yes, I miss cheese and bread. It's not good for me either. I just don't discuss it with people. I'm too old for other people's judgments.
Yes, absolutely. And that's the way it should be. I think if you can find a diet that helps you feel better and feel healthier, it doesn't matter what other people think. But the other thing is, yes, you should share that finding, but also keep a broad enough mind to know maybe it's not the fact that I'm just eating cabbage. You know, there's the old cabbage diet that caused a lot of people sort of gas and what have you. But there was, I don't know if you remember that, but you know, or if you just go carnivore, Rick, if you just go carnivore, you can feel that everything starts to get better. But actually, quite often what's happening is you're not eating as much crap as you used to eat. So therefore, yes, everything would get better. So it's good to share that idea that eating healthily or eating in a particularly disciplined way will always make you feel better.
Bruce says, speaking of digestion, I only eat once a day. It's probably a good time to heal itself. Speaking of digestion,
I wouldn't mind some chocolate digestive biscuits. I've been very good. I haven't touched a biscuit. Haven't touched a and biscuit is my weakness. Digestives, chocolate caramel coated digestives. God, I got them all. Everyone's thinking now, I wouldn't mind one of those. Is my weakness, and I haven't touched that Daryl Lee only because it was ludicrously cheap. But yes. All right.
Noah says, I just think personally you should be able to eat what you like without getting someone breathing down your neck. I've had some vegans come up to me and explain what happened to the chicken in my sandwich. They ask things like, do you know what you're doing by eating that sandwich? And I normally just respond with sarcasm and say, I'm eating my lunch.
Let's drop that subject. We've got the lovely Tony in, and she at the moment, it's doing her the world of good. And absolutely. I would highly recommend it.
That's what you should do.
So what else? What else have we been up to? We've been trying to eat a little healthier, although we went off the rail this week, didn't we? We sort of we decided we wanted some chips or French fries, as Americans would say. Got over that. That's out of the system. And today, what time is it, Michelle? Oh, hang on, 11:36. I've got a clock just here. 11:36. So we don't generally have our breakfast till between 12 and 1. So we're going to have that lovely fresh yogurt with some blueberries and maybe a little bit of dragon fruit as well. So is that a big question I just saw come up, or is that one that was?
Bruce said vegans got too many carbs, he gained weight, and that option didn't work for him.
Well, yeah. I mean, there are lots of we maybe, I don't know what we're doing at the moment. I certainly don't know where we're taking the channel. Sometimes it's just time, and I know a lot of people would love to see me back in the kitchen cooking and doing things, but at the moment that's not our pathway. It's not where we're going. It may well be again in the future, no doubt about it, because we're still food is even when I'm traveling, I'm always keeping a lookout at different food techniques, different cooking and baking techniques that I see, and I'm making notes and learning. So we're still learning a lot of stuff, and one day I'll be able to share some of that back. But at the moment, we're not going to be doing that. But we are thinking of kind of reinventing the channel again, doing something different. So don't be surprised if suddenly I'm juggling baby goats and showing you how to keep 3 goats in the air at one time. Could happen. So I think we should be getting towards the end. Michelle, has anyone got any questions before we sign off? Happy New Year. Kung Hei Fat Choi. If anybody is watching who that's Cantonese. I'm not sure how you say it in Mandarin. I used to know, but Happy New Year, Chinese New Year. Happy New Year, Western European New Year. And I hope you have a wonderful 2023. God, I had to think then. And we will be trying to do, it might just be live streams. I'm not sure. I've got several videos that I've still got a video from Malaysia where we went to the world's biggest McDonald's. Actually, that might be the next video. I've almost finished editing it, so I might put up the world's biggest McDonald's cafe. Not McDonald's, 7-Eleven cafe, which was kind of fun. It was a couple of months ago now. That video might go up, and we've got several still to edit, but I might just jump on and do a live stream every now and again just to let you know what's happening. In the meantime, from Michelle and I, you want to come over, sweetheart, and say goodbye? Come into the foreground. From Michelle and I, back in Australia. Love to you all, and we will see you again. We'll probably try and do another live stream in a day or so, just to, if there's anything I forgot to say. And if you've any questions or something I should have said, I've got to reach over now because the stop button's over here. Let me know. Love to you all. Thank you for joining us, everybody. Thank you for your lovely comments and questions. Hit the thumbs up for Michelle if you're watching this at a later date. Make sure there's plenty of thumbs up, and we'll see you next time. Be good.
Bye.
Love to you. And